Welcome back, Republic fans, to The Sword and the Ring, a place for all sorts of lore with a special focus on a galaxy far, far away, Alagasia, Hogwarts, and Middle-earth. Today, we continue our episodic look into the celestial bodies across the known galaxy around the time of the Star Wars, specifically just before the Separatist movement kicks off. This information is the latest I could get from the Jedi archives and a few scattered holocrons. So let me know if you have more updated info down in the comments. We start our journey where one of the most influential individuals across galactic history was born. Naboo is rich in resources and beautiful landscapes. The planet was unique as it lacked a molten core, and instead its core was filled with water and vast stone caverns. These made for quick movement routes if the sea beasts could be avoided. Naboo is also home to two sentient species, Gungans and humans. They call themselves the Naboo. The Gungans were the indigenous sentient species on the planet. When humans arrived on the planet, the two remained separate for some time as the Gungans retreated to their aquatic home while the humans built up a farming community in the mountains. A series of special warfares occurred when they finally made contact with each other. After these wars, the Naboo started to colonize the rest of the Comel sector. This colonization was much like that of the European colonization, wherein the colonies and therefore planets were continuously required to provide resources to Naboo whenever Naboo required it. Meanwhile, the Gungans found themselves in a series of civil wars which culminated in the rise of Boss Gallo, who eventually united the Gungans under one leader through diplomacy and military might. After joining the Galactic Republic in 867 BBY, the capital city and royal palace were established at Theed. Over 6 centuries later, the Nihil conquest came to Naboo and they overtook the planet. The Gungans remained mostly unaffected as they retreated to their aquatic homes, but the Naboo were forced to pay heavy tribute and were left defenseless. Luckily, the Jedi Order and High Republic were able to free the planet shortly after the Nihil takeover, so Naboo didn't suffer nearly as much as some planets. 200 years later, the planet will once again be the target of an invasion. This time, the Trade Federation played the role of aggressor. With their droid army, the Federation hoped to maintain a blockade and force the Galactic Republic to lift taxes on trade lanes. At this time, Sheev Palpatine was the planet's representative in the Galactic Senate. His maneuvering would set him up for the role of Supreme Chancellor, a role that was of utmost importance in his rise to ultimate power. With the help of the Jedi and a unification between the Gungans and the Naboo, Queen Amidala was able to lead a successful resistance to the Federation's takeover. The Trade Federation were unable to complete their objectives. In the war, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn was killed by Darth Maul, who was subsequently left for dead by Qui-Gon's Padawan, Obi-Wan. Next, we find ourselves back on Tatooine, this time for just a quick jaunt around the circuit. As everyone knows, the most influential export Tatooine ever produced was the Skywalker family, or most of the family. Close behind them, however, was the thrill of pod racing. Pod racing, if you didn't know, is much like the F1 races you might have seen, if you mixed in encouraged violence, few vehicle regulations, uncontrolled gambling, and extreme terrains. It requires lightning-fast reaction times and an almost wanton disregard for life. As of 32 BBY, only one human was known to successfully compete in the pod racing circuits across the Mos Espa region. This human, of course, happened to be none other than Anakin Skywalker. His unbelievable upset of heavy favorite Sebulba in the Bunta Eve Classic, and a side bet based on that result, directly led to the downfall of the Jedi Order. Our last stop on this episode of the Atlas is the capital of the Republic, Coruscant. The Ecumenopolis planet, or city-covered planet, has been the center of the Republic and the follow-on empire for ages. Built on top of the ruins left by the planet's native sentients, the Tong and the Zell, the Imperial City grew. At its zenith, there were over 5,000 levels, with the vast majority except the very lowest being habitable. The city covers the face of the planet completely with Monument Plaza on level 5,216, encompassing the last remaining mountain peak. Many historians and historical accounts credit Coruscant as the start of humanity, but this is still contested. Coruscant was able to grow to such an important size, most notably due to its proximity to many important hyperlanes and trade routes. This proximity and importance also contributed to the planet's history. During the fall of the Old Republic, the war between the Sith and the Jedi made its way to the Republic's capital in Coruscant. The city planet was overtaken by the Sith, and they built a Sith shrine on the city's surface. Eventually, the Jedi would lead a Republic force to liberate the planet, and then the Jedi built their own temple over the Sith's shrine, effectively wiping out the memory for many. This Jedi temple sat in the Federal District and became the center of the Jedi Order as they grew following the Jedi-Sith War, and throughout the High Republic. For a millennium, the Jedi thought themselves free of the Sith, and they helped protect and guide the Republic with their close ties to the Senate. For the average citizen, though, Coruscant was mostly divided into three areas: bureaucracy, tourism, or criminality. As the center of the Galactic Republic, naturally a large part of the city and planet were devoted to the rule of law. Vast skyscrapers and districts were filled to the brim with bureaucrats and their entourages making law, enforcing law, and getting rich or poor doing so. The Bank of the Core was also situated in Coruscant, in close contact with the treasury of the Republic. On the other hand, a thriving underworld developed in the lower levels of the planet as the authorities were unable to patrol the entire planet effectively. This underworld was filled with criminals and gangs who built up their own cramped city under the surface level of Coruscant. Well, that's about it for this episode. Don't worry, we'll be back in Coruscant to talk a bit more about the government and the rise of the Empire shortly. We'll also get to visit a very wet planet and an extremely arid one as well. May the Force be with you and your spirit. I'll be with you next time on The Sword and the Ring.